Mr. Chilton, with his beautiful and wonderful wife Sue, purchased 78 Square Mile Ranch in Arivaca, Arizona. A graduate of Arizona State University, he earned a Bachelor of Science, a Master of Science in Economics, and a Master of Arts in Political Science. Prior to forming his own municipal investment banking firms, Mr. Chilton was Senior Vice President and Manager of the Shearson American Express Public Finance Division for the Western United States. Prior to his municipal finance career, Mr. Chilton served U.S. Senator Carl Hayden of Arizona for 3 years as a special assistant. Mr. Chilton was honored as Rancher of the Year by the Arizona Cattle Growers Organization in 2022 and by the Arizona Farm Bureau 2005. In 2005, Mr. Chilton received the True Grit Award from the Arizona Cattle Growers Association and the Individual of the Year Award from the Arizona, New Mexico Coalition of Counties. In 2005, he and his wife received, sorry, my contacts are not working today, the Arizona Farm Bureau Environmental Stewardship Award. In 2018, Mr. and Mrs. Chilton received the Arizona Association of Natural Resources Conservation Districts Arizona Conservation Leadership Award. Mr. Chilton, you are phenomenal. Please give a very warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Chilton.
Can we switch this one? What you've been seeing here are images of people coming across our ranch.
Yeah.
And I have 4,000 images during the Biden administration. These guys that you were looking at are, the Border Patrol intelligence officer estimates that 20% are packing hard drugs. Not recently we had a Border Patrol catch on our ranch, and the group had an AK-47 and 100 pounds of cocaine. So it's just really terrible. Let me first start by introducing the pledger, Sue Chilton, my wife of 61 years.
Yes.
I have no idea in the world why she's kept me that long, but I do have a rule of marriage. There's 2 major rules. Rule number 1, your wife is always right. Rule number 2, even when she's absolutely wrong, refer back to number 1. I'm here as a volunteer. I'm not here with an honorarium. The last time I spoke at a group, it was a wonderful, wonderful group. Mission outstanding, and it was Christian, and they offered me a $5,000 honorarium. And the group was so wonderful that I donated the honorarium back to them. And they were so happy. I said, what are you going to do with it? And they said, well, we've got this very special fund we want to put it in. Well, what's the name of the fund? And they said, well, it's Better Speakers for Next Year. I've been asked to talk, and I want to kind of talk about Arizona cattle ranching history and the Chilton family ranching and the realities of living on the border. And perhaps the Center for Biological Diversity, a nonprofit corporation, radical environmentalists. And I can explain how, if we get to that spot, how it affects us. I'm having a difficult time seeing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Turn on.
If I can have a little more light.
Sylvia, get to that,
My
get the back
eyes,
switch.
my eyes used to be,
We can see the screen, we can see the screen fine.
my eyes used to be very good, and I used to be slender, and now I'm short up and high around. I guess in terms of cattle and history in Arizona, it all started with Father Kino, as each of us probably know. He was a tremendous person, and he got to Sonora, Upper Sonora, Premier Alta in 1687, and he passed in 1711, and probably had more impact on Arizona than almost anybody else. In fact, as each of you probably know, we have 2 statutes in Statutory Hall at the U.S. Congress, and Father Kino is one. So, he kind of really, and Barry Goldwater is the other one. I've been reading Father Ernest Bruce's book about early Sonora. And he indicates that Father Kino, once he got to Mission Dolores, and we have a hard record of this, moved 40 head of cattle from Mission Dolores, which is about 35 miles to the south of Nogales, moved them to San Javier de Bac. And then Father Kino also moved cattle all over this area. Burris indicates that he moved 700 head to other missions. That may have been to Macacri, or maybe Gavavi, or maybe others that are in Mexico. And in fact, he verifies that Father Kino had 3,500 head of cattle in Dolores, and that's one of the things he did. He spread them all over, and the result was the Indians had much better nutrition. If you ate beef, you could be a Christian. And so anyway, he was absolutely amazing. Then Super Sue and I are from Arivaca, and there's clear indication that in Arivaca, Father Kino put Arivaca on the map in 1690. And he was distinguished in many ways. Everybody at that time thought that California was an island. And Father Kino went down the Santa Cruz River to the Gila River to the Colorado and proved that it was not an island, it was a peninsula, that at least the Baja part. And so he was a cartographer and brought fruit trees to this area, all kinds of sheep, goats. He really made Arizona, particularly southern Arizona, the furthest, most northern area of the Spanish Empire. Other evidence of cattle in this area is that the Mormon Battalion in 1846, they left President Polk caused, and they volunteered about 1,000 people, including some women, and they left and they arrived in Santa Fe, and then from Santa Fe they came across to southeastern Arizona and marched on to San Diego. The purpose was in 1840 or 1846 was President Polk evidently wanted them to get to San Diego and claim it and fortify it for the United States. They had only one battle, and they got to the Douglas Bisbee area to the San Bernardino Ranch, and they found about 10,000 head of cattle roaming everywhere. Obviously cattle that Father Kino distributed. Secondly, they left the San Bernardino Ranch and proceeded to this way. They got near the San Pedro River, the next river over, and ran into bulls, hundreds and thousands of bulls. And they had the Battle of the Bulls. The bulls attacked them, and they had a heck of a time defending themselves, but they eventually got to San Diego. And then in Father Kino's time, this is what Tucson looked like, at least according to a Leslie Hanley Russell. One of the accomplishments of the Mormon Battalion was they built the first road from Santa Fe to San Diego. It was a crude road, but they built it. So southern Arizona is ranching country. We really have excellent, wonderful grasses. Our grass, on our ranch we have 32 different species of grasses. Only 4 are foreign. The rest are native, perennial grasses with lifetimes 20, 25 years of age. And one of the unique things about them is when they turn yellow, they don't lose their nutritional value. And so our cows are out there eating yellow grass and doing well. I've never fed a bale of hay out on the range, and those cows do wonderfully. Unlike some of our friends here from northern climes, where ranchers have to hay all summer and feed all winter and be there when a calf drops and make sure it dried off and put sometimes in warming sheds. Our cows go out and they just do it on their own. I don't know what the bulls do, but we get calves every year.
I suspect he's.
Ranching is a marginal business, especially since in the Biden period where the cost of living and the cost of buying everything increased dramatically. The fact is everything we bought or buy costs 20% or more, and forces we ranchers to really stretch the dollar. I mean, I stretched the dollar so thin, I can see George Washington's underwear. Bottom line, I'm not going to stretch it anymore, I'll assure you. Now, how do I do this? I click? Okay, I want to go to the next.
We're getting Jeff for you.
Okay. Next series of photographs are photographs of my ancestors.
Oh, that's cool.
The Chiltons have been ranching in Arizona since 1885. They drove cattle from Texas to Arizona, and we've had ranches here ever since. We're not on the same ranch they originally founded, but I need to figure out how
And
to
now you can see the
figure
screen
this from
fine with
one
the
to
lights on.
another.
Yeah, okay. Do we have this mouse working? No, we got the touchpad.
So, can you imagine driving cattle from Texas to Arizona? I mean, it's quite a feat. There were 5 brothers, and my great-great-grandfather, James Edward Cosper, they had kids on the trip. And one kid by the name of Harville was 10 years old. This is my great-great-grandfather right here. One kid was 10 years old, and in 1965, he came by my dad's ranch, and he knocked on the door, and he said, Ken, we just have a minute, but we couldn't drive by your ranch without stopping. It'd be highly impolite, but we just got a minute. And they went in and talked with my mother and dad for a few minutes, and he said, I told you, we just got a minute. And they got up and left, and Dad went out, and Mom, and Harville was driving a brand new Buick. Can you imagine a guy that rode a horse from Texas to Arizona driving a brand new Buick? And Dad, he was 85 at that time. And Dad said, Harville, how fast do you drive this new car? And he says, looked up and he said, I drive my age.
Whoa.
And then he kind of reflected, and he said, you know, Ken, when we drove those cattle from Texas to Arizona, we made about 7 miles a day, sometimes 10 miles a day. And every once in a while we'd run onto a group of people camped. They're headed to California or to Arizona. And we might sit around and visit with them for a week. But now that I have this fast car, I've only got a minute. And the faster we go, the less time we seem to have. So, okay, now, do I hit this?
Yeah.
This is my dad and my brother, the good-looking guy right here. I'm not going to say anything about the looks of the other guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And this is Super Sue. This picture was taken at a banquet at the Arizona Game and Fish Commission while she was chairman of the commission. And this is our older son, Ken, there, and our younger son, Tomas. And that's me on my favorite horse, April Star. And then this is a map of our ranch, south of Arivaca. Arivaca is way up there. Our ranch house is near there. It's 20 miles from the ranch house down here to the international border. This is the boundary of the ranch. And the red line is the Ruby Road. This is Arivaca Lake right there. The town of Ruby's right here. And it's 14 miles from this side over to there. And the international border is 5.5 miles. Now, the border, we try to do a wonderful job of maintaining the ranch. And this is a photo of a journal article that was published on the ranch, indicating that it's an exceptional ranch. We go and we monitor the grass. See, this is a cage there, and so we put out cages, and we're able then to graze the pasture, and then we can go to the cage and we can figure out what percentage of the grass we've grazed. The evidence is that we use about 28% of the grass. The rest of the grass is there to regenerate. We've had a lot of wonderful people help us in working our ranch. Right here is Dr. Jerry Holacek and Dr. D. Galt. And this is Sean Lockwood out down measuring grass. Dr. Holacek is the author, the main author of the textbook on ranch science, ranch grazing science. And this is Dr. Galt. He's a soil scientist. We have lots of people come out to the ranch to take a look at it. These are all Forest Service people who came, and Sean Lockwood was going to show them, or we showed them how we measure the grass. We were actually teaching them how to do it. Excuse me a second. My doctor told me to drink lots of water. He said it might be a cure for my dry humor. So this is a photo of the international border when we bought the ranch, a 4-strand barbed wire fence. Here's another look at it. So this is what it was like. And then it was easy to go over. You climb over it. And I could climb through it.
It's still like that, you know.
What's that?
It's still like that in many places.
Right. And here's a guy sneaking across the border. During the Obama administration, they built this wall. It went out from Nogales to the west, and it ended about 2.5 miles. And they also built a wall from Sassby, which is over this way, out 5.5 miles to protect the Buenos Aires refuge. And so there was a 25-mile gap with nothing but a 4-strand barbed wire fence. Then along comes President Trump. And he built the wall, and it went from Sassby east at 1,000 feet a day, a mile a week, and it went out, across the Buenos Aires refuge onto Tom Kay's ranch for about 5 miles, and then on to the Tres Piotas ranch, the Robinson's ranch, for about 4 miles, and then on to our ranch. And then President Biden comes along and stops the wall. And so the end of the wall is on our ranch. We have 5 miles of the wall. but about a half a mile to 3/8 of a mile is where Biden stopped it.
That's called a door.
Look at this.
Yeah,
exactly. Open door.
And look at the illegal trash.
We have,
Yeah, pick that truck up.
one of the problems is that people leave trash. And I've calculated that in southern Arizona, there's probably been 25,000 tons or more, probably, of trash dropped by migrants and drug packers coming across.
That's why they're changing into the clothes that they got.
Yeah.
And they really look decent when you get across that border.
Just bring the cursor down with the touchpad down to the arrow.
Will it come down? Oh, it's not.
Use the touchpad. Use the touchpad. Just move it down. There you
There
go.
you go.
Put it back on the arrow.
Where's the arrow going?
Right there.
There you go. Tap.
There you go.
Way, yay, Kathy.
Miss Technology.
So this is the end of the wall with my cousin, Jerry Chilton. He's a lawyer and he keeps me out of trouble. And
Or at least he tries.
then I guess all I have to do is hit it again.
Yep.
Going back to that picture of the end of the wall, in 2024, last April, during 1 month of 2024, 5,640 people walked around the end of the wall, and then they would start walking west. There some Samaritans that had a tent there at the end of the wall, and they gave people water, food, took care of medical issues, and the Border Patrol during the Biden administration showed up at 7 in the morning, 10, and 7 p.m. I think it was, 3 times a day, and picked up everybody who was there. Sometimes hundreds or 200 people a day would come across the end of the wall. Now they're very different from what you saw before of the people coming into the ranch and sneaking into the country. Those people, as we indicated before, are drug packers. They're people who maybe are trying to get back into the country after they've been deported. They couldn't just come across the end of the wall and say, here we are, you know, take care of us, process us. And one of the things that I do is I have 29 water troughs scattered around the 50,000 acres. And people can get a drink of water. See that fountain there? It's clean, wonderful water. The cows drink the dirty water. That's one of the things we try to do. We've had, in the last 18 months, 3 people die on the ranch. 2 of them dehydration. 1 was murdered. Evidently he did something the cartel didn't like, and they cut his head off. And one of our cowboys found him, head about 10 feet from the body. I mean, it's just really nasty out there. This is me with President Trump. I'll tell you a little bit of background. I got a phone call from a person, Ms. Ferguson, in the White House. This was in 2020. And she said, are you a member of the Farm Bureau? And I said, yes, I am. Well, are you going to the National Convention in New Orleans day after tomorrow? And I said, no. well, President Trump's going to be speaking there. And I kind of yawned. And she said, would you consider going? I said, no, it's too far and it's too expensive. And I chatted with her a bit about the border being a 4-strand barbed wire fence at that time, how you could climb over it or under it, and that I had 1,000 images, kind of like the ones you saw on the TV tube there. And that my wife is concerned every time I leave the ranch that I might have problems, let's put it that way. And she said, oh, that's really interesting. Hung up, and the next day we were down at a big game and fish commission in Phoenix, and I got to thinking, you know, that was really a strange phone call. And I started to think about 30, 40 minutes, should I call that number back? And I finally, Super Sue encouraged me to do it. And I called, and Ms. Ferguson answered the phone on a Saturday at the White House. And I said, you know, that was an interesting conversation we had yesterday. Is there anything special you had in mind if I went to the Farm Bureau convention? She says, well, I'll make sure you sit in the front row and get your picture taken with the president. And I said, I'll go. So Super Sue arranged my flight the next day to New Orleans. And I had 2 phone calls to make. One was strictly security, you know, Social Security number, da-da-da. And the other one was a Brittany Baldwin in the White House. And I talked to her about the border being a 4-strand barbed wire fence. I had 1,000 images of bad people coming across the ranch, and that my wife is concerned every time I leave the ranch house. And I remember her saying, that's compelling. And so I hung up, and so I get to the convention, and there's my name on a front row seat. And that was interesting, and the person, it was the seat front row for the Farm Bureau awardees. The woman on my right was the awardee for the No More Death Tax, and the other one was the awardee for the U.S. Fishing for the Waters of the United States this year. They were nice, and pretty soon a Trump staffer comes and says, time to get your pictures taken. And so I was last in line. We were told, you go in, shake the president's hand, look at the camera, smile, and out of there. I was the last, and I shook the president's hand. I said, Mr. President, my name is Jim Chilton. And he stopped and he walked over about 6 feet or so. He came back like this and he says, oh yes, you're well known in Washington. Oh my God, the IRS, the Justice Department, and the Forest Service, I don't. Anyway, we went back and sat in our seat, and another staffer came along, and she stacked my hand and the 3 on the side up like this, and she says, nobody knows what President Trump is going to say. We have no idea what he's going to say. Says, but it's possible he could call one or all 3 of you to the stage. So you might start thinking about what you might say. And I go, ugh.
Yeah,
I thought, well, international border, 4-strand barbed wire fence. I have 1,000 images of bad guys. And my wife is concerned every time I leave the ranch. And so Trump came on the stage and he talked for about 20 minutes about the need for a wall. And he really did a nice sales job. Then he went to a different subject. Dodge that. And then about 10 minutes later, he says, and we have with us today Jim Chilton. He has a ranch on the international border, 5.5 miles to the border. And it's nothing but a 4-strand barbed wire fence. And he has an image of 1,000 images of really bad guys coming across his ranch. And then he went off and started talking about how bad the cartels were. Then he said, and then every time he leaves the ranch, his wife is very concerned. Would Jim Chilton please come up?
She said everything he was gonna say.
About 30 international cameras, from the press corps rushed up, and I was going up, and the Secret Service rushed. I thought, now what in the hell do I do? And I thought, well, I'll shake his hand. And so I walked up, shook the president's hand, and he leaned over. Guess what he told me? As he pointed to the lectern, have fun. I mean, I could not think of anything fun. So I stepped up, and the one thing that went through my mind, our wonderful President Reagan, as you remember, said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And so I said, Mr. President, we need a wall. And 9,000 conventioners stood up. And then I thought, now what in the hell do I say? And I said, we need a wall to prevent drug packers to come across our country and our ranches to poison our people. Another standing ovation. And I thought, now what in the hell do I say? And I had an idea, and I said, Speaker Nancy Pelosi says a wall is immoral. I've traveled the world, and one of the tallest, biggest walls I've seen is around the Vatican.
That's right.
You can't tell me that the wonderful priests and staff of the Roman Catholic Church, including the Pope, are immoral. They have a wall. Why can't we? And I got off that damn stage. And I was also invited by Trump to speak on the Waters of the United States issue at the White House another time. And then, for whatever reason, I was called to speak at the National Republican Convention. And so Super Sue and I went back there. It was really quite an experience. The organized, oh, it was organized. And just unbelievable. And we spoke for 3 minutes and got off that stage again. The funny thing is as you see, Super Sue's one of the tallest people you've ever seen. And we were standing there, and
Tom Holman.
yeah, Tom Holman was the speaker before us. So we were in the green room with Tom. And then when he went on stage to talk about the border, we were ushered down to the stage. We were right there where the person running the whole show was. He had these cameras, television cameras all over like this, and we were standing there, and Tom finishes, and the guy, I don't know his name, he says, give me 2 minutes of music. And so the band started playing, and the stage darkened, and they ushered Sue and I out to the rostrum, and they brought a box about this high. And Sue stood on it. And anyway, I was supposed to say, my name is Jim Chilton from the great state of Arizona. And this is my wife, Sue. We've been married 60 years. And I was supposed to say, according to the speech that I wrote, and she's dynamite. And I got to that point, and it was the first time she was ever tall enough to kiss, so I reached over and just kissed her. And we had an interesting time. You want to see that, I've been told that you can do Republican National Convention - Chilton, and you might see our speech. She did a beautiful job. Onward, forward. This is me talking, and I must have said something pleasing. Look how ugly face I have. Terrible. So, with regard to the wall, we hope and pray that President Trump finishes the wall. Finish the big gap between the wall on our ranch and the Bell's Ranch, which is about 5.5 miles. That includes sensors. There's supposed to be a trench with sensors in it so that a person walking from Mexico up towards the wall, we can hear them coming, or the Border Patrol can hear them coming. And it's supposed to have fiber optic communications in it and electricity. And so once that's completed, I believe that the Border Patrol, including the military if necessary, should be at the wall and secure the border at the border.
That's right. We call those HUDs, underground sensors.
Right, and cameras on the wall if necessary, but we've got to stop anybody from coming to the wall, stop anybody from trying to cut a hole in the wall, and why did people come? Why did that 5,640 people in April 2024 come? Well, they got free food, free housing, free health care,
And money.
debit cards,
Yeah.
cell phones,
Yeah.
and they could travel anywhere in the country they wanted to go. So the Biden administration spread out a welcome mat and a banquet for them, and no wonder 10, 12 million people came. So everything was free unless you were an American citizen.
That's right.
This is a picture on our ranch. Now the background is that the Center for Biological Diversity was trying to get cattle removed from our ranch. Even though it's a wonderful ranch, we have the scientific evidence we're doing a great and sustainable job. And one of the things they did was to go out and take a picture. This is a picture, it's on somebody else's private property, but inside the ranch. Those two cows are laying there, and see how bare it was. Well, they argued that underneath the picture says, Ruby pasture 100% utilized and soils compacted. Well, why was that? It's because the May Day celebrations had been there a week before. That week before, there were 500 people there. 3 dance bands, ATVs, running all over that area. They denuded it, and the Center for Biological Diversity guy who camped there and participated
Wow.
in the May Day celebrations came back, took the picture, and argued that it was cattle. There's another picture of the dance band. And here's another picture he took. See the cottonwood tree there? And this is his exact picture. And see this willow tree coming out over this way? And the cut line was streams and springs trampled by cattle. Now, for me to take the same picture, he took the picture of the bottom of a lake. And I had to get a boat to go out and take the same picture. Oh, wow. Here's another photograph in Scribner Canyon. They took it, cattle trampling with the cut line, something like that. And for me to take the same exact picture, we did that. And then we took a picture going to the east, took a picture going north and south.
Wow.
So you see how they zeroed in on a little tiny spot? And I was so mad, it was
You
just
can do wonders with Photoshop. I'm sure it was touched up too with Photoshop.
may have been. But anyway, I was so mad at them that I sued them
Good.
for libel and slander. We had an 11-day trial, a jury of our peers there in Tucson, and the conclusion was unanimously, the jury decided they had lied and misrepresented and libeled us, and they awarded me $100,000 damages, and they awarded me $600,000 punitive damages. Other than marrying Sue, that's one of the highlights of my life. So, we have also other problems on the ranch. The Center for Biological Diversity has sued the Forest Service, United States Forest Service, over the yellow-billed cuckoo.
Not the one in the White House.
Yeah.
It's the other.
And the Chiricahua leopard frog.
Oh, right.
And they sued Forest Service, and their prayer of relief is to eliminate cattle grazing in southern Arizona. I mean, we have 300 years of history of cattle grazing in southern Arizona, and they want to eliminate it on behalf of the yellow-billed cuckoo. I really think that's cuckoo, don't you?
Absolutely.
So we've entered Trump's golden age.
Yes, we
So
have.
excited. And I stand with Trump on the border issue, deregulation, cutting spending, and free speech. I vigorously support the president regarding Israel and against Iran. And I stand for our flag. I place my hand on my heart and I pledge the flag and I kneel to the cross. I'm a proud Arizona rancher and I appreciate each of you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Did you see the Trump parade?
Some of it, yeah, on television.
That was an incredible, loving thing that they did.
amazing.
And I hope children learned a lot.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Chilton?
Yes, sir.
How is it that people just come onto your ranch? Is it open?
Yeah.
At the end of the wall, there's a
Use the
gap.
mic, honey. Find the microphone, not your water bottle.
Thank you. At the end of the wall. At the end of the wall, there's a gap of about 2 feet. They come through there, and then the 3/8 of a mile is nothing but a 4-strand barbed wire fence. So they can crawl through that. And the bad guys, they go north through the ranch. The people just trying to get into the country or free lunch, just go around the end of the wall there in that gap.
I was more referring to the people in the RVs and the vans and,
Oh, they,
Oh, there's a road going down California Gulch, and that's how they got
so
there.
there's a public road that runs through the middle
Yes,
of
it's
your
a Forest
ranch.
Service road open to the public, you're right.
Okay.
Yes, Barbara?
and Jim, remember, they didn't get the floodgates in, we have these water drainages, we call them washes, but when there's a big rain, the water goes flowing downhill. Well, they didn't get those floodgates up either in lots of sections of the finished wall. So there was all kinds of pathways through until, and all that's laid on the ground all these years, so I don't know whether they've been able to put it in finally or not, but, so that was another issue. It wasn't just those miles that didn't get done, it was all the drainages, and there are a lot of them.
You're right. For 3 years during the Biden administration, they had all these gaps, and people went through the gaps, through the washes.
And the infrastructure was on the ground, waiting to be installed.
Right, and then to the credit of the Biden administration, they have now filled all the gaps.
Oh, good.
So, it's the only thing I can remember they've done.
Oh, well, that was something.
Other questions and points?
Yeah,
Yes.
you have private property. I don't understand how that environmental group or whatever can dictate to you. What is your legal,
Excellent point.
That's why you
And
sued.
I
but
must,
I mean,
I must
trying to get-
confess that I should have told you that we have the grazing rights on Forest Service land.
Oh, okay.
30,000 acres is US Forest Service. 18,000 acres I lease from the state of Arizona. From my rent payments go to the state school trust fund to the kids. And then Super Sue and I own about 2,000 deeded acres.
Okay.
And our deeded acres are scattered all around the ranch. Old homesteads under the 1863 Homestead Act. And
I
thank
might
you for
add,
raising that
see,
question.
There's a law called multiple use. And that means that you can camp, fish, hunt, bird watch, hike, or whatever on what are called public lands. Now, federal lands have one set of requirements and state lands have another. But generally speaking, you don't even need a permit to go have a picnic out there.
Wow.
Excellent question. Yes.
I wondered if you'd had any difficulty with illegals either injuring or killing your cattle.
Frankly, I don't think so. The bad guys coming through in camouflage, they just want to get through the country.
Yeah.
And the people coming across the end of the wall, they just want the Border Patrol to pick them up and take them to Tucson, process them, turn it over to nonprofit corporations.
Let 'em go.
Which receive tremendous amounts of money from the government. And then they got their bus ticket or their plane ticket and stayed overnight in some of the hotels. They tend not to harm the cattle except dropping plastic.
We lost
Some
a
of the
burrow
cows
we
come
lost a
along.
burrow that way.
Yeah,
They
so-
dropped plastic with, it had cactus in it. She was our
Yeah.
pet, and she ate it and she
Oh.
died. A horrible death,
We lose several cattle every year
yeah.
because it
Because
stuffs
of the
up their
trash, yes.
system
Oh.
and they die an ugly, slow
Yeah, oh, I
death.
know, please, I can't even feel it still. That was years ago.
Yes.
What about wells being left, pumps being left on and so forth?
Yes, I've had that too.
Where some of your watering places, the wells, the pump thing that you have out in the field.
Where they rip
sometimes they'll-
open the
Where they leave the
irrigation.
water on, or they abuse that sometimes, don't they?
Yes, during the 1990s, we really had a problem. They'd cut our pipelines and we'd go out and fix them. That one up in Wilbur Canyon, one time we went and had 13 cuts in it. So the people coming through and going around the end of the wall, I have a well there, and I allowed the humane boarders to put their blue flag up, and everybody can go in and get a drink of good, pure water. And other wells, good water. I just don't like people dying on the ranch. It's just awful. I think I've had about 35 people die on the ranch. Wow. In the last 30 years. Any other question? Yes, sir.
How many cowboys do you employ year-round?
I often have 3. That's what we have now. They're out gathering ruby pasture today and taking them to Warsaw.
Okay.
Pasture, not Poland.
Oh.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Good,
Your last name is Chilton.
yes.
Was your ancestor involved in the Chilton Motor Manual publication at all?
I really don't know. It's Chilton's, there was a Chilton on the Mayflower, James Chilton. That wasn't me. And he died the first year, but his wife died also the first year. And his daughter married Winslow, the first governor. So that line kind of stopped there. And then my ancestors went to Virginia about 1650. And there were 3 brothers, and they had families, and so there are Chiltons all over the United States. And the problem is that the oldest son inherited the estates. And I'm from a family of the 2nd and 3rd and 4th sons, never inherited anything.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's been wonderful talking
Thanks.
with you.
You bet.
And thank you.
That was a lot of knowledge that we got today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chilton. So does anybody have any announcements they would like to make before the meeting concludes? I know we're gonna do the Queen of Hearts. For those of you who haven't been here in a while, we do have our candidate roundup that is coming up on the 27th of September at the, thank you, at the Desert Diamond Sahuarita. It will be a morning brunch, so we don't have to worry about nighttime traveling. We are running an early bird special. And if you're interested in going, I have flyers up front. Also, for anybody who has not signed Kimberly Yee's petition, she is running for education, superintendent of education. She's running against Tom Horn. We have her petitions here. We have Andy Biggs' petition here. And if you happen to be in Legislative District 19, we have Cheryl Caswell's petitions here. She's running for State House. Other than that, do we have any questions at all today before we do the drawing? Okay, here you go, Tony.
Well, wait a minute.
Do we have any